Hello everyone, welcome to Feldy. We're on Farmer Yip country. He made this beautiful map we've been enjoying for so many episodes now for Farming Simulator 11. You get down close, you can see the age on this map, and maybe it doesn't look as pretty as some of the newer versions, but it's been a very excellent map, and I've had a wonderful time messing about with it here the time that we have, as our time comes to a conclusion fairly soon. So we know, we had some chickens going in here, and they are supposed to have created a number of eggs for us. Let me just see if they have. Yes, they have processed, it appears, all the corn, silage, and the wheat that we've put to them. So, it really doesn't create that many, or that much of an output. Let me see here, the eggs, 718. You look at the price that are at the warehouse, we're not even getting as much as fleece for way less effort, or rather way more effort, in the case of the eggs. So I think, let me just go a little bit more here and see how much we have. Eggs, storage, 39.50. I mean, there's a part of that just looks pathetic. I'm sure our chickens have done the best that they can. The trouble is, I'm not sure just how much time it's really, that's the input trigger down at the ad end. Let me see, can I sneak in here? Is this where I get the... Aha, there they're pouring in. Hey, that's kind of cool. 39.50. Oh, look at that, stacked in nice, neat little cartons. So I'm going to have to drive extra careful to make sure I don't crash. So that must be how they stack it in here. Yeah, just kind of tight quarters. I maybe could have used a different tractor to haul it here, but I think I want to carefully haul. Can I sneak through there? Dang, that's close. I'm going to sneak through here, and we're going to haul it down to the church where we are preparing ham, eggs, and chips for, I don't know, some kind of a meal. And apparently it's a secret mission, so I'm just going to head down over the hill, get the materials down there. We already have potatoes for the chips, and now I'm going to deliver the eggs. I think I'll just leave all of the eggs down there. I could maybe dump part of them. Let me turn the lights on here. But I don't know what else I'm going to do with them. May as well put them in the Dosh plant. Let me see. You can find Dosh. Was that one of the first ones? Maybe it was water fertilizer Dosh. First one. We have over 10,000 of potatoes. We harvested hundreds of thousands of pounds or liters rather, of potatoes, and we just put 10,000 in the Dosh plant, which happens to be up at the church. We're going to go up to the church on the hill. And otherwise, I think we would take this to the warehouse to sell it for money. And we're not going to do that. Excuse me, madam, as I get up the hill. The church staff has an interesting way of receiving product. All right. Oops. There we go. Oh, that thing does tip. Interesting. All right. Well, oh, look at that. There are fewer eggs in the storage than what we just dumped in there. That's kind of an interesting result. So, all right, I'm going to take this back up the hill, and I've mentioned a couple times in here that we're kind of winding down our stay on this particular map. Excuse me. So I think I'm going to leave the jukebox kind of up by where the chickens are, just in case we ever return to our save and want to do more. So I'll at least put it up there. But then I think I'm going to need the tractor here for the next project. Now, in the last episode, we finished harvesting potatoes. I talked about some fixes to the potato harvester. I think I finally have that mod working decently. And I also kind of showed another mod that I had added, and not only just added, but activated within the map. Farmer Yip's map had embedded in it some textures for liquid manure and for solid manure. When you put them on the map and you dump them, he had those in there so that they would appear, but you'd need a script in order to activate it, and for whatever reason he didn't activate it. So now can I just drop this off right here? Hit the right key. There we go. I'm going to head down to go get our trailer at the other farm. Anyway, he had it in the map, the textures were all there, and we just needed one more script. And for whatever reason, he must have chosen not to have that as part of his Feldy map when he released it. But we talked about activating it. We'll see it here in a moment after the episode and off cam. I got the rest of what was in the BGA. There was maybe 45,000-ish liters of digestate or liquid manure. And so I took it and I applied it to the fields. And also off cam, I attempted to put a distance texture to it. And you'll notice, off in the distance, you don't see the brown that you see in the foreground. So I don't know what happened with that. I tried, but didn't succeed. But you see that we definitely do have it on all the fields. I've already started cultivating here on this one. And I think I'll maybe take another round while I get down here before we head off to the next task. I'll get hired person going and get all that going so I can kind of keep up on the tillage. I now have 3 fields harvested, and you see kind of where I had to quit. This is where I ran out of the liquid poopies. So we have all that on that I had, and now the task is to cultivate it into the field. Alright, there's my trailer. Let me just kind of sneak in here and I'll get him all set up and ready to go. Actually, you know what? Maybe what I need to do is send him out on a course play, because what I'd like to do is harvest, let me just zoom out, harvest the island field over here. I have barley in here. There's something I'd like to share once we get in here, but everything around the area other than these, which were in potatoes, is corn. Corn, for as far as the eye could see. There's small grains kind of over here, but I do have some barley over here that I'd like to harvest. So maybe let me send, can I send biofuel to, is there anything to the island? BGA, I know I got BGA to the island, don't I? Yeah, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to take him down the road just a wee bit, and when I get him out, I'll turn him loose. Go around all my nice trimmed hedge. We are smelling the smell of the slurry from the BGA. It kind of stinks. but we're going to be taking care of that. We have our tractor to the left of us here, and that's going to be helping us deal with all the liquid manure. Alright, let me get him out on the road. Alright, head over to the island, my dude. Alright, okay, now let me hop to, what's the other one? Number 8. Crank her up and make sure I'm not tearing anything out. Turn on field detection, I think that's good. Lower the cultivator. Last episode, I had only partially, I think I'd done a single round on this field, both with applying the liquid manure as well as a single round here with the cultivator. And kind of like I was explaining, I had to do some special coating in order to get it to take it out. It's really, oh, there's so many things about this game. You know, to tickle it a certain way to get it to do what you want is always the challenge. So it's always so motivating, at least to me, you know, when it finally works and the way that you want it to. It's just very satisfying. That's probably, I guess, what keeps me coming back, you know, to trying to mod, is just the sheer fun, you know, that a person can have with a kit. And you know, along the way, I know we've done more than 100 episodes on this particular map. A lot of it has been kind of describing some of the modding journey for it. And so hopefully that's been of a little interest to everybody that's watching. But I don't know how it is when you play it, but a lot of times that's what keeps me going on a particular map for a long time too. You know, it isn't just the farming over and over and over, which is interesting in its own right, but it's being able to change it up, add things, fix things, you know, to make it the best possible experience, you know, that you can have in here. So I really do enjoy the modding aspect of the game as well. Something that has really only gotten tougher, you know, with each successive version. The quality standards have gone up dramatically. You know, this old game here, maybe at a certain angle, at a certain light, it looks pretty good. And it's no knock on Farmer Yip. I mean, this is the tools he had to deal with or work with back when he made the map. But it's no secret. It looks much better, so you could get away with a lot more, get a lot more liberties in many ways with the older versions of the game, where it wasn't really expected to be perfect. So let me just, well, right now I'd be getting my tires full of muck. Let me head down to the other end. I'm gonna hire this guy, and already our trailer's out to the fields. That's where we're going to be headed next, over to our island field. So let me get this boy going in here. Now that we have 2 rounds, that should be sufficient to hopefully get some, where's the angle? Okay. Get it as close to 0 as possible. Alright. Here you go. Cool. Alright, he's gonna do his thing, and let us head over to, what's that number? Which one has the trader? 1? No, not that one. 3. Okay, he headed up here like a good fellow. Now we have a whole field of barley, and there's something I wanted to move to now. I mean, obviously on the agenda is taking care of the field of barley. It's a big field. It's going to take us a while. It's got lots of hills and so forth. And How many times throughout this episode have you heard me say or wish that we had a hillside combine to tackle these hills? You know, and the machine that we've been using, the Yip combine, is a flatland machine, meaning it doesn't conform to the terrain. And so what I have here, and I'm kind of at this angle for a reason. If you look up here between the trees, you'll see two combines here. The trouble with Farming Simulator 11 is nobody really created a true hillside combine. And there were some called hillside, and maybe if we just take a gander in the store here real quick, I'll show you what I mean. You know, there's this one here I've purchased. Ignore the price; it's kind of ridiculous. So there was the Laverda Al Quattro or AL Quattro. I'm sure I'm probably butchering that. I mean, this is a machine we don't have here in the U.S., so I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. There's Fiat Agri AL. I don't know if AL. Oh, maybe I wonder if AL means auto level. So we have this one here. There's another, I think it was a New Holland. Let me get down here that I found. I'll get through all of the Yips. Oh, excuse me. Before that, we have a Gloria CP. Don't know what the ad is. We don't have the ad here either. And I thought there was one more. Here it is. New Holland. So 4 combines, and I basically purchased 2. And one of them I'm gonna sell pretty much right away. I got the Gloria CP. I just noticed it in a video recently. And along with its header down here, I think these two go together. Maybe even with this here, it can handle sunflowers, which obviously we don't have in this map. And I also purchased the, not this one, the Laverda Al Quattro. I don't think I'm saying that right. Laverda Auto Loader, I don't know what Quattro means for. This one I did a bunch of work with, and it's going to behave differently, at least I hope it does, than will the Gloria CP12. Where's that other one? Way down here? This one here. But I have them both, so maybe instead of talking about them here, I should just hop out and let me go over to it. Here's this one, and here's a smaller one. Kind of, you know, I get a sense of nostalgia from this one because it sounds like the combine that we had in Farm Sim 09, and I think we also had it in Farm Sim 11. But whatever is going on with these machines, both of them, it is constantly, in terms of resources, I think my FPS is 15 at the moment. So, but both machines were designed similarly from a modding perspective. And we're going to see on this one here kind of what that means. And then I changed it up entirely when we get to this one over here. So let's drive this up the hill to get it into the field, and you'll hopefully start to see kind of what I mean. Notice how it's flopping to the side. I think this is someone trying to make this a hillside combine, and I can't really explain it from a modding perspective, just what it is, but it has to do with how loose the components are put together. Components are pieces of a mod that are in independent parts, but that are tied together. So for example, the main body of the combine is going to probably be a single component. The wheels, the front wheels, are many times a separate component, and the back wheels are a separate component. And in the XML code, you'll tie them all together, and you'll basically indicate how rigid they're supposed to be as they interface with each other. Well, for the hillside combine, in order to get it to kind of bend and conform with the hills, they left it loose. So, but the trouble is, here we got a little hill over here. That's another thing that's kind of floppy loose, is the header. It swings as if it's almost like a pendulum. Well, it wouldn't do that on a real life combine. But like if I take it over here and kind of come up a little bit of a hill, it's okay, it's definitely at an angle. You do see it trying to, I'm not going to say it's trying to level, but you kind of see it trying to, just a little bit. So I'm going to do a little bit of cutting here with this particular combine. Hopefully it works. Alright, so the unloading auger works. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't appear we have any errors at the moment. So now a hillside combine, there are some that will level all four ways. It will tilt side to side in order to conform to the terrain, and it will tilt up and down, meaning the back end typically will raise up in the air, all with the goal of keeping the main body of the combine as level as possible. Particularly the sieves. The sieves are kind of what separate the barley in this case from the chaff. And there's wind, right here. This is typically the wind. There's a big old paddle in there that sends air up through the sieves, and it lifts the lighter chaff out, and that's kind of what dumps out the back of the combine. And this older machine probably has straw walkers kind of up in here. You wanted to try to keep them level as well. Particularly side to side is important because, if you're on a hill and the thing is at a sharp angle, all the material, of course, is going to follow gravity and go to the downhill side. So the goal was to keep your grain separation as level as you possibly could so that you could go quicker through the field. Otherwise, you had to slow down, and I'm not even sure slowing down would prevent a lot of times throwing the good grain out the back of the combine, which of course is to be prevented. So that's kind of why we have hillside, and it doesn't take much of a hill, by the way, to cause that problem, in a hillside combine. So knowing that these exist in real life and having operated them and seen them in operation, in the hills kind of where I live. I know we had them on Lone Oak Farms where I worked. It's kind of always been of interest to me to have a hillside combine. And in my, AIM saves, Farm Sim 15, 17 in particular, maybe even 19. I think I may have a hillside on 19. And now, I think even on the main mod hub, there are hillside combines readily available. Back in Farm Sim 11, this is what we had. And maybe without further ado, oh, Jiminy, don't tell me I got stuck here. I almost think the back wheels are powered too. This is a really interesting mod. So, I don't know how much is held here. The really nasty hills is kind of down over here. So, maybe what I can do, let me just cut the corner off here. I'll just kind of head across the way. So let me fire this up. Oh yeah, here's a problem with the mod. You can't even see the steering wheel. I don't know if it has one in there. I didn't check. Let me just make sure it isn't making any errors. And alright, so any other commands I need to be aware of? 1, 2. Oh, I see. That's kind of cool. Alright. It's gonna... Alright, spewing straw all over the place. It's gonna head off across here. And... Alright. Not throwing a fit. So it's dropping a little straw. Right now, we are pretty level. So... just trying to see if it does anything here. It's interesting the cab door is open. I don't know if there's a way to shut that or what the deal is. Now I assume I can hire this kind of like, you know, the regular combine or what have you. I know I did do some work on the other one to install autopilot. This one here, this is straight out of the box. I didn't do anything with it. As you can see, it is attempting to level a little bit. And you can tell it's kind of on a slope, and you can see that it is trying, like I say, to level, which is pretty cool. And when this is all we had, I mean, it's a pretty neat thing to have. It's making a decent attempt to level, and it's probably enough to fool the eyes. You know, the trouble is that I ran into in looking at some of these is it doesn't quite work consistently. And apparently these are also supposed to level 4 ways, so it should be, you know, but it just doesn't quite do it, you know, by lifting the back end, because it doesn't really have anything telling it to. There's nothing in here, to my knowledge, that tells it to level the rear end of the combine. But you know, I do like this little machine. This is a perfect size combine, actually, for a map like this. And probably if we were going to play here long term, this is probably something I would work on some more and, you know, dabble with this particular mod. Let me see here. Am I getting out? Why don't I just kind of pause right here? Oops, didn't mean to hit that. And I love the sound of it. You know, they have some, you can hear the sound of the header and everything. I like seeing this. Oh, look at the animations. Oh, cool. Hey, this is actually a pretty cool mod. I love seeing all the add in there. And even, oh man. Okay, folks, yeah, this is actually a really neat mod. And so with a little more TLC and with what I'm going to show you shortly, we could turn this into something even better, hopefully. So let me just get this turned around. Even the lights work, that's good. Now, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, let me put that down. Let me send this across. Oh, come on, come on. So now we're kind of going across the slope, and it's trying to hold on to the level here. It's going to actually get full. Oop. Okay. I maybe should have... You know, I don't know if... well, let's see here. I'm going to go to number 3. There it is. You know, I didn't even look to see how many liters it holds. And after Feldy, I do intend to start another Farm Sim 11 save. You know, I realize most of the Farming Sim world has moved on to the more recent versions, particularly the most recent version, Farm Sim 25 at this recording. But these are still good maps, good mods, and I'm enjoying myself. And so this combine, I'm kind of looking at this and thinking maybe I would try to do something with it. So let me see, can I sneak around? Is that gonna... Oh, blimey. Okay. Okay, I think maybe we need a different trailer. Let me hop out of here. This is another trouble too when you are in a machine like this and going across a hill. You know, it lowers the distance between the ground and your unloading auger. So let me see if I can get him turned around. This is gonna drive over the top of our crop, but since we're just opening it up, it's kind of what we gotta do. Let me see here if, now it should be bending back the other way a little. There we go. Aha. Alright. So now we'll be able to offload this. And you know, it doesn't hold a lot. I kind of think our other combine holds more. So I don't know what you all think of this. I maybe should try to showcase every single one of them, but I only purchased the 2 of them here. And oh, oops, sorry. Yeah, I think there's some collisions there that I can't see that maybe are. Now that's kind of curious. It says it has grain pouring into the tank when there's. I'm not harvesting nothing at the moment. So maybe let me crank this up again, and we'll kind of continue on our way and sneak across here. Yeah, so there's obviously going to be hopefully a couple episodes here kind of talking about this. At some point I want to show kind of what I did on the other that I hope improves it. But I gotta say, I like this little combine here, and it's doing a fairly decent job, you know, kind of side to side. And I'll be kind of curious as we go across. There are some nasty hills in here. Yeah, see, it is trying to level, but it's not leveling quite as much as what it could, maybe. Now we're going uphill. It should be lifting. Anyway, tell me what you all think about this particular combine. You know, it's to an operator, when you come to an edge like this, that kind of is a sheer drop off. You have to have a little intestinal fortitude to harvest kind of along the edge. So we're just opening it up here with our little hillside combine. And as soon as this is full, I'm going to park it, and we'll maybe take a peek at the other combine, and I can show some of the differences in it. And if somebody else wants to do something similar, I'm happy to share and show the code and everything that I put in there to get it to do what it does. But I do like this little combine here. And I wonder if there'd be a way to improve it. So, but for the moment, I think we're done with this particular episode. We all heard the bell. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.